Reports have it that Abia State Government has vowed to recover about 180 public schools illegally ceded to private individuals and entities by the previous administrations in the state. This is as it also announced plans to retrain about 12,000 teachers in public schools to prepare them for the task of rebuilding the system. We have OK Kanu, State Commissioner for Information, who made this known after the State Executive Council meeting in Umuahia. He stated that a committee has been set up to oversee the recovery efforts. The committee, according to an official statement, will be headed by Caleb Ajagba, Chief of Staff to Governor Alex Oti. It was alleged that the immediate past administration in Abia State allotted a large number of public schools to private persons, mostly political cronies, friends, family members, and faith-based organizations. The allottees, according to sources, have since gone ahead to erect varying structures, including malls, business concerns. Despite public outcry, the development has sadly resulted in a monumental deficit in the education sector, with thousands of children of the poor unable to access education. The Commissioner for Information, however, warned that the state government would no longer tolerate the unbridled greed and impunity of a few privileged people with the pen charts to illegally appropriate the commonwealth of the people. So they're saying we're taking back those schools, and I'm just imagining what would have happened to the students who are supposed to be in those schools all the while.
Now, I've been a teacher for many years, and my experience with I've worked in different schools as a teacher and as an educationist who is very passionate about reforming and transforming our educational system. I've seen firsthand how children suffer when the educational system is faulty. And when we talk about the faulty educational system, you have to look at the quality of teachers you have, the quality of facilities you have, the teaching syllabus, and the environment. It helps to shape that child. Now, if you look at the society today, especially our Nigerian society, you see a lot of private schools, a lot. And there's something that is so funny. You always see them with the tag international school. You know, even the ones that are in interior villages. I'm not saying you should not dream big.
They want to go international.
Good. I'm not saying you should not dream big or see the big picture, but it's an illusion. It is self-deception to want to have this beautiful tag without providing a corresponding or provide the services that you claim you are. Most of them they are not even up to the standard of local schools. Not to put them in disrepute or to disregard them, but the reality is our educational system is faulty, but we've had it for a long time. The question is, how do we make it right?
Exactly. Don't you think it's because of the finance? But they probably do not have enough to give the school the kind of standard that it requires.
Then don't call it an international school. Why is it international? Do you have kids coming from other countries to study in your schools?
And aside that, who even approved it in the first place?
Now the government is talking about a lot of mushroom schools and schools that have been allocated to friends. See, education is a life, is so delicate and sensitive. Like health. You joke with your doctor, you joke with your life. You joke with your teacher, you joke with your life. There are things that are very essential, and education is very essential. If I'm not educated, will I be sitting here today? Will I be sharing ideas? People have invested in me. People have impacted me. I am a product of a sound education. And so we want to see a Nigeria where we build our young people, our children, with sound quality education. We don't need to be going for pilgrimage to other countries to pursue educational opportunities when we can build it right here and open up Nigeria for other countries to come in and study. So when you look at this particular case in Imo State, if I'm correct,
this Abia State, these are public schools now that, according to reports, the previous administrations gave them out to friends, families, loved ones, for businesses. They even talked about malls being erected despite public outcry, and that has made the students who probably cannot afford other forms of education now, who are students of that school, to be back home. And that's what I said earlier, that I'm trying to imagine what probably could have happened to those students all the while that those schools were turned into business places.
They're certainly going to suffer. They're certainly going to suffer, and they will be displaced intellectually, even socially and mentally. Because the educational institution is like a hospital. A school is like a hospital. And a very serious hospital. A hospital of the mind, to reform and transform and build. When your mind is bankrupt, when your intellect is bankrupt, when you are deficient intellectually, when you are not challenged to think for yourself, you become like someone that is a sheep that is led astray. I have seen first and how children suffer, because I have taught in both public and private schools. And I tell you, it's not so much about, okay, we are taking the schools back from these individuals. Take the schools back from them and make it right. Make it a place where a child will want to come to study, and will want to come, they will love to be there, because they want to grow, they want to learn.
You know, we all know the importance of education, and we have heard the stories of some of the people in leadership, the kind of schools that they attended growing up. Some of these schools that are the way they are dilapidated now, when they were newer, that's when some of these our leaders attended them. So some of these are leaders, some of the people in leadership positions went through, they saw these challenges that these children are seeing now. Maybe it's worse now, maybe it's better now, but they experienced it. So one would expect that, having experienced that, at least that's one of the things you would look at, and you would get to understand what the children are going through firsthand. But then in some of the cases, we don't see that happening. And this might not only be happening in Abia State.
We don't see that happening because many of these political office holders, they understand the importance of education. They do. Why? They send their kids abroad to get quality education.
Some of them even had scholarships, and that's why they are where they are.
And most
today.
of them have their private universities and their private schools as well. So they understand the importance of education. It's just their greed. So they are not interested in the education of a poor man's child. A child from a village that don't even have good road network, cannot even access quality education. I do teach people in my leadership classes that if you come out from a broken system, right, you have a natural responsibility to make that system better than you met it. Leave it better. Cause a transformation. If you come out from a broken home, you have a responsibility to make sure you get your home right. If you come out from a broken educational system, now you have a responsibility to make sure you provide a better educational system. You can't come out from brokenness and make it more broken and leave it in a worse state. So our educational system is in a very bad shape because those who are responsible to make it right are not interested in making it right. They are interested in making it right for themselves and their kids.
Looking at all of these things that have been happening, do you see our education, the system that we know as education in Nigeria, fading off? Look at JAMB reducing its cutoff mark, and then universities also reducing their cutoff marks because some students cannot afford it. And then having reports of less number of students this time getting into schools because of the ideology of you can also be successful without getting to school. From your analysis, would you say that to be our education is, the way we see it, is gradually fading off in Nigeria?
It is fading and it is dying. Let's be realistic and let's be honest. You know, when you are truthful to yourself, that's the first step to your healing process. Healing starts by being truthful to yourself. Being truthful to yourself will help you now to take the right steps and the right approach in treating the disease or ailment that you are faced with. If you are living in self-denial, you are just living in a pit of deception.
So you think it's fair enough?
Our educational
How do you
system
think this will affect us
is
as a
fading.
nation?
And we need to tell ourselves the truth. Do you know Nigerians travel to nearby countries? I don't want to mention the name. Next door countries, African countries, very close by, to pursue education. A small country like Benin Republic, which is a neighbor to Nigeria, go to Benin Republic today, you will see many Nigerian students studying there. We should be providing quality education for students from Benin Republic. We call ourselves, we describe ourselves, we label ourselves as a giant of Africa. We have some of the best, most very educated persons, professionals all across the world. Sure. We have some of the best professors, best doctors. We have some of the best brains all over the world, helping to build the universities in Europe, in the United States, in Canada, even in sports, everywhere.
So what exactly is the problem?
Our leadership is the problem. We don't have the right leadership to build our educational system. Apart from the leadership, there is a discontent, and there's a lot of people that are losing interest in education.
Sure.
Because many of them don't understand what education is all about. They think it's just about schooling. Education is not, schooling is just one of the phases. Education is a continuous development. For example, I have a degree in economics and development studies. But I didn't stop there. I didn't just carry my degree and say I have a degree. I learn every day. I develop myself every day. I open up myself to learning. I expand my capacity, my knowledge, my skill set. I build my knowledge base and my knowledge capital to respond to daily challenges that happen. That's what education is all about.
All right, let's look at how to get it right again.
To get our educational system right again, first we must be honest with ourselves. The leaders, the citizens, every one of us must understand, or we must come to a round table. We must sit down and tell ourselves that we are not getting it right. We are a country of over 200 million people, and we are still among the top countries in sub-Saharan Africa with the largest population of out-of-school children. We still have millions of Nigerians that are illiterate, that cannot read and cannot write. In this 21st century, when other countries in the world are exploring space, they are doing a lot with AI. They are doing a lot with technology. They are doing a lot with robotics. They are doing a lot with software development. They are doing a lot with engineering. They are doing a lot with cutting-edge technology and scientific innovations. We still have millions of Nigerians that cannot read and write. So the question for us is that if we are interested in building this country, and as I always say, in renewing hope, we should renew education. I think that's the message for the government. If we want to renew the hope of Nigerians, renew education. And when we talk about education, education is not just building a classroom and a school.
Yes, let's get to it.
It's building a system where young people come in and they walk out of the door and they are thinking about how to solve the next problem or to solve the problems around them. Problem-solving educational system builds the students to not just cram and write, but to think beyond, think outside the box and look at the society, look at their immediate environment.
Which would you say we have? Do we have that?
We don't have it yet. Most of our schools today, if you go, even the science practical, they don't have the basic equipment for science practicals. I'm talking about the basic. Most of the public schools, they don't have a functioning laboratory. I mean a functioning laboratory. Most of the public schools, they don't have functioning ICT, computer. Most of the kids, the children, they've only seen computer on TV or on their phones. They've not practiced with computer. They don't know anything about computers. They don't know anything about computer. most of these public schools, they only learn it theory. Computer is practical.
Even the universities, some of the universities.
Same in the university. They don't have this thing functioning. What is difficult to have?
Even some of the universities that have them, you find it difficult for these students to even be taking them, maybe like once in a blue moon, so they don't destroy the equipment or something. Because I know that I had a guest here yesterday who said he studied agriculture and he actually had a computer course in the university, but they never used the computer in learning. They just, in fact, even writing the course, the exams, they didn't use the computer. They just did all of that with theory.
How do you expect someone who have a theoretical knowledge of computer to be practically efficient and professional in dealing with issues that relates to computer?
All right, I think it will actually start from the curriculum and those actually organizing that, because it takes the teacher to even have that mindset of the problem-solving mindset to then, you know, impact it on the students. But let's look at the next story now.